Happy Saturday. Welcome back to High Strangeness. Little later than I would have liked it. So I'm just gonna just I don't know, just sit here, riff. I don't know what the appropriate word is until till we get some people into the live stream. I know, like I think I announced this 4 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago. So but thank you to everybody who is watching in the replay. If you can give me a like and a sub, I would love that. Welcome to anyone who's new, who is at maybe Pulse Conference and you followed me from there. So thank you to all the new follows. If you did not check out Pulse Conference, it is currently live. So am I stepping on toes? Hopefully not, but I won't make this a long one. If you have not seen Pulse Conference, I would check it out. The replay will be available there for a while. And thank you to Maddie Allen for having me on. So I just wanted to pop in tonight. Nothing planned. This is just wanted to free chat, I guess we'll say. Oh, there we go. People flowing in. Thank you guys. We got Mad Hex 5555. Hey, nice to see you. Hey, my online ghost. And Crypto Compassion. Thank you for stopping in to say hello. Hey, Steve D. Great seeing you live. Well, thank you for being here live. I'm happy to be back here. Hey, Clintrons. Awesome to see you all. Thank you all for popping in, especially at this short notice one. Yeah, things were running a little late today, kind of a crazy day, but I'm like, I still want to be in here, streaming. So I think now that I'm back, I think I've probably been back almost a month now at this point consistently. And I'm so happy to be back. I had missed you guys. Hit the likes. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, so any of you in here, if you can hit those likes, if you can hit the sub, if you're not already subbed, I would appreciate that. That would help me out a lot because my numbers had grown a bunch initially and then just stalled. So I'm like, did I say something to trigger the YouTube? I don't know what I was about to call them, but yeah, the people in charge, the YouTube powers that be. Maybe I ticked them off. I'm not quite sure, but yeah. But thank you all for being my consistent faces in here. I so appreciate you all, and I'm always happy to see you guys. Oh, so today is your first time live today. I was wondering. I'm like, okay, I don't think I've seen you in the live chat before. So thank you for being here, and welcome to the first your first live here. So now that I've been back for almost a month, every single stream so far has been an interview. So but this is my traditional format where I'm just chatting back and forth with you guys. And I don't have a topic planned. I just wanted to free chat, just catch up a bit. For anybody who hasn't been here the past few weeks, we had nearly a month ago, we had a Wild SJ on sharing her first paranormal experience. And then the week after that, we had Pete Dybel from Australia, music, all around music guy, awesome guy, talking about his experiences. Then I had Peter Feliciano. I was on his show, Conservatish. And so now he was kind enough to come on and chat with us here about all different topics. And I feel like I'm missing somebody. Am I missing somebody? Or has it maybe not been a month yet? I don't know. And here I am tonight. So forgive me if I am missing any of my guests. But yeah, so thank you guys for popping in tonight. Yeah, there we go. That's the word I was looking for. The YouTube overlords. Because I'm like, do I want to say gods? But I'm like, ugh, it's giving them too high a title. But yeah, the overlords. Yeah, kind of childhood's end-esque. Right? Hey, Andrew Kennedy. Nice to see you guys here. So thank you all for being here tonight. It is nice seeing you as always. I added a new little thing to here. Hope you guys like my I could have thrown him on the shelf behind, but I'm like, I want him to be where you can kind of see him because he is kind of representative of the county I'm from. My county is famous for Sleepy Hollow and the Headless Horseman and all that jazz, Washington Irving stuff. So I saw this statue online. And I'm like, oh, I gotta get the Headless Horseman. This is my home county. So have I caught everyone up on what has been officially shared by the government about UFOs? Yeah, I did want to talk about that tonight because here's the thing. A lot of us, we all believe the very similar things about UFOs. And And then now when the government wants to step into the mix, after decades of denying everything, now they want to step in and be like, oh yeah, we have aircraft. We have non-human biologics that we found, non-human entities. This is real. And so it kind of makes you step back and you go, all right, what's your intention here for sharing this with us? You've never been free and easy with your information before. You've always used it as a tool of control, right? The slow release of information. So now that you're feeding us this info that we were already aware of, now it's okay to admit this. Now that it's okay to believe this. So, you kind of, it makes you second guess them, doesn't it? Right. It's just, it just makes me insane because it's like, okay, the quote unquote conspiracy theorists were saying this all along, but now I think there was a meme, okay, that summed it up best, saying, okay, yeah, I believed in aliens until the government said they were real. Then the oppositional feelings come in and be like, you know what, I'm not going to believe in them now that you're saying it's real. But my thing is, it's like, it's a form of control. The release of information and how you release it is a form of control. And what are their plans? Is it a distraction? Right? Because whenever they release some big news, there's always something else going on in the background. Is it a plan for the future? Is it a way to institute something else? All right. Well, we had government, uses any type of emergency to exert control and to take on additional, to give themselves additional powers, which they never give back. Right? So we had that happen with lockdown. So you kind of look at each event they're going to use or each piece of information, and they're going to use it to their benefit. So it's like, okay, are they getting ready to, what are they priming us for? Are they going to make a fake invasion? Are they going to say, everybody stay inside? The aliens are coming, but listen to everything we do and hear and do this and drive this because the aliens are going to come and attack us if you're not all driving your Teslas, which were mined by children in the third world, all the minerals and everything. You guys see where I'm going with this. I'm very annoyed about all this UFO stuff. Hey, Hex Force, thanks for being in here tonight. Good to see you too. So what are they actually not wanting us to pay attention to now? And some people had said that it has to do with like the whole Hunter Biden tax thing or whatever. They wanted us distracted from the fact that he's not getting in as much trouble as people typically would. Because like you and I, if we did those things, with tax evasion, we would immediately be thrown in jail, right? They would put us in as long as they possibly can, throw away the key for whatever they're allowed to get away with. But because somebody's a politician's son, then it's cool. Then he can do whatever he wants, right? I'm sorry, guys. I'm moving around like a crackhead. I can't sit still tonight. But it's like, okay, then he's allowed to do whatever he wants. Right? Because politicians are allowed to do whatever they want. They're allowed to invest whatever way they want. They can get inside stock tips or whatever. So, so some people believe that there was more Hunter Biden stuff and they didn't want everyone to freak out over the fact that he's not getting in trouble. So we're going to release this flow of UFO information to everybody. But like, I don't think so, because everybody already knows about the fact that politicians and their families get away with everything. So I'm like, this is not news. It's not enough to release alien things to cover up. So I'm like, there's something bigger happening, but I don't know, man. Right? It's crazy. I don't even know where to go with this, because here's the thing. I think about it and then it annoys me. So I haven't even completely dissected it yet. I'm sorry. And I'm also thinking, I'm like, okay, speaking of Hunter Biden, I'm like all over the place. I'm bouncing off the walls tonight because I had 4 shots of espresso and then my face is itching and I'm touching it. I'm like, everybody's going to think that me and Hunter Biden are into the same things. Sorry. I'm like, I need to cut this out from the live stream at some point. So if anyone's watching it in the replay, they're not like, what's wrong with her? You guys know I'm a little all over the place. I'm just having one of those nights. But this is just free talk, kind of dissecting it all. But definitely, I'm of the I'm of the concept of like, again, always kind of believed in these things, but when the government's coming out and saying it, I don't believe them specifically. Like, the whole Bob Lazar thing. I am not fond of him or any information that comes out of him because I'm like, if somebody at that level who knows that much stuff were to release that type of thing, they're typically dead by suicide, right? Two bullets to the back of their head. Oh, they committed suicide. These people aren't allowed to run around giving out that much information. So you look at these people and you're like, no, they're intentionally put there. It's kind of like they're a psyop. So I'm all for these things and certain releases of information, but until you see them put out by certain sources. So I'm like, no, Bob Lazar is like a government agent who's put out there to release this stream, this flow of information, and it always makes me wary. And is it Project Bluebeam? Are they priming us for Project Bluebeam? Are they getting these ideas in their head so that they can institute this fake alien invasion? But sometimes these psyops are a psyop within a psyop within a psyop, right? They're all rolled together into this big thing. So I'm like, no, too many people know about Project Bluebeam. And they want us to focus on that. But I mean, there's going to be something else, something bigger. And I think it ties into the Greada Treaty. But then again, why are we allowed to know about the Greada Treaty? Because maybe it's also a psyop. So really, all these things are just a psyop within a conspiracy, within a whatever. Who knows what the truth is? But the fact is, we're questioning it. And at least you're aware. You're not the sheep that are going to go along with everything that's presented to us. Questioning and being suspicious are, I think, some of the biggest things that will protect you in these situations. I don't know the details that were released except for what my friend Sami had mentioned. Yeah, I didn't even look too far into the details. I just would see clips on Twitter and I'd be so ticked off by how it was being presented and the fact that everybody's like disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. And I'm like, and I tweeted about it. I'm like, disclosure with quotes. I'm like, this is not real disclosure because they will never disclose. They will never give up that power. Giving up what they know is giving up power. It's giving up control. So they're going to feed you what you want and then call it disclosure. So quote unquote disclosure. Excuse to print more money. When the time comes, they can fake an invasion. You see the press conference a couple of months ago about whistleblowers? No, I didn't see the press conference about whistleblowers, but now I'm going to have to look into it. But somebody was talking about whistleblowers. I think Peter was talking about the whistleblowers last week, right? So I think he was saying that I'll have to go back and rewatch, but he brought up a point of whistleblowers will sometimes end up saying one crazy piece of information and it discredits them. I think it was Peter that said that. And is that intentional so that you're not listening to everything else they say, even though everything else might be valid? But this is interesting because when you say it's an excuse to print more money, it's just like all the endless wars, right? The military industrial complex. And maybe people are catching on and getting sick of the whole endless war thing. So what is the next big thing? Wow, well, if you can fake an alien invasion, you can get the entire world on the same page. Spending money. And the thing is, I feel like you don't even have to go as far to actually fake an invasion. You can just keep feeding this stuff. Oh, they're here. We have the crafts. We have the entities. We have the bodies. You don't even have to show them. It's kind of like, when you watch a horror movie and it's just scary, the threat, but you never actually have to see the monster, right? They don't even have to get to the invasion part. They can just scare us enough with it, with the boogeyman, where they can get everyone spending money on, oh, look, here's our weapons defense systems. Here's our space lasers. Here's this and here's that. And meanwhile, it's just all money laundering operation. But everybody, the citizenry has been made to fear so much where everybody's like, yes, we'll vote for it, we'll go along with it, yes, you go ahead, yes, you're protecting us, united we stand. That's a whole other thing, united we stand. You ever hear about that being kind of falling into an occultic chant because they had everybody saying it over and over and over? Thought that was an interesting theory. So Dr. It's not showing. There we go. Is this frozen? All right. Dr. Stephen Greer's press conference. Definitely worth watching it. Thank you. I think I did hear something about Stephen Greer, but like, you know, like I said, I get ticked off and I get wary and then I go, absolutely not. You know, we're not dumb. We're not falling for this. And unfortunately, when you kind of do take that position, you end up missing out on a lot. But yeah, but also I'm fascinated with this whole, actually that was, I felt like I was missing a week. That was, I believe, my first, where I was talking about the quote unquote reptilians on a plane. That was my first video back. And then, you know, everything failed and went wrong and wasn't able to continue that conveniently. But back to the whole, those mother effers aren't real, right? That woman on the plane. Now that we're like a month out from that, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, crazy Karen who got drunk and who's, you know, who went nuts. And that's all that was. And now it's turned into a big joke. But I think the most fascinating thing about that is anytime you see a Karen flip out or something happen, they always manage to find this person, or they find their friends, or they find their place of work, and you see some sort of info. We have heard nothing about this woman since. And you can look at it two ways. You can be like, okay, well, it was staged, it was planted thing, it was a distraction, right? And that's why we don't see or hear from her again. Or this woman is real. She saw something, she flipped out, she wasn't drunk, and now she's basically in hiding. That's why we haven't seen anything from her again. But really weird that actually where this cut off was Carrot Top, right? Carrot Top even posted a video saying, oh yeah, I was on this plane and she was just this and that and it was dumb. And I'm like, what are the chances that Carrot Top was on this flight to, what was it, Dallas to Salt Lake City? I just find it odd, you know, like just all the stories that started coming out and people who were like saying, oh, I saw this and I witnessed this and this is what happened. But then it would get discredited and say, oh, no, the guy was just hoaxing. So there was a lot of weirdness around it. But the thing that strikes me most is when she's like, you know, that motherfucker is not real. Like, you heard real fear in that woman's voice. And yes, okay, if you know how to act, you know how to pull that up and bring those real feelings up, but there's just something about it that just kind of cuts to your core. And I'm like, that is real fear. That doesn't feel like acting. And it doesn't feel like she was on drugs and like really believing what she was seeing. There's something to her tone and her fear that seems so legit. And it's still so striking to me to this day. And the fact that she's kind of been turned into a meme, is that thing where you know, they make maybe people who might be pretty legit, they make them look crazy so that you completely discredit somebody. So do they make her enough of the meme so that nobody's worrying about what was going on here? And it was weird that she started seeing more things happening in the air. There was that guy on Ryanair who flipped out. What was it, the same week or the week after? And then there was somebody on a, I think a Chinese flight who like really had a freak out and was saying some really wild stuff too. But I can't remember that off the top of my head. So exactly, they could just be like, yesterday we spent $4 billion on an alien battle. Yesterday we won. Thank you for continued tax donations. Yeah, because like, oh, they could say, oh, we just had a battle in space. Wow, oh my gosh, we saved humanity. And, you know, no one saw, your telescopes weren't pointed that direction. It was like on the opposite side of our orbit, on the opposite side of the sun, you know? Like where they claim planet X or Nibiru is. No, but Nibiru takes a different path. But you guys know what I mean. Oh, it was far flung that way, and that's why none of the astronomers saw it. But we saved the Earth. But man, we drained our resources. So we're gonna have to tax you a little more. All right. We know you're getting 50% taxed. Okay, we're going to add another 25% of it as a thank you to ourselves for saving the world. Yeah, like, right? They could totally say something like that. And at this point, people are just so brainwashed where nobody will question the narrative, or most people won't. They'll just be like, yes, thank you. Thank you for saving the world. Now, can you do those little TikTok dances like the healthcare workers did? The Space Force, please. Can we see a dance? That's where we're at. Yeah, hidden in plain sight. I feel like, sorry, I'm like wearing shorts and I'm smacking myself in the leg. I feel like, yeah, hidden in plain sight. You know, if they can't hide her, we're going to make a joke out of her. We're going to turn her into a meme. That's what I feel like is happening here. I feel like I'm going off the rails tonight, and I see my viewership tanking, but thank you to those of you who did come in, and thank you to everybody who's watching in the replay. Right? I mean, that's what's next. If all the nurses and doctors, you know, and the healthcare heroes, and let's go outside and clap for them in the evening, they all did their TikTok dances. Now it's time for the Space Force to do it. And guys, go out at 8 o'clock tomorrow night and go clap at the space for the Space Force, all right? Because they're going to save you Earth Independence Day style. They're going to fly their jet right into the butthole of the mothership and blow it up. That's how it's going to go. It was a good movie, though. I used to actually watch it on Independence Day. Yeah, so I don't think there's too much else to cover. It's just ranting tonight. Unhinged ranting tonight. But I'm having fun with the unhingedness. It's fun to sit in this unhinged area. And I promise you, completely sober. I'm just tired. But yeah, with my squeaky chair. Brian's not in here tonight. Must be past his bedtime, because I know he loves my squeaky chair. He's always looking. He says he looks around it in his own home, wondering what's squeaking, and then he realizes it's my chair. So I like my squeaky wooden director's chair. Yeah. So anybody have any thoughts or feelings about anything going on in this insane world? You know, I just feel like we're just constantly being herded toward a certain narrative, and people have accepted the narratives so easily. I mean, now they can throw anything insane at us, and people will just totally be like, yeah. And the funny thing was, like, you know, 10 years ago, you know, if you were to talk about UFOs or aliens, it's like, oh, you're such a nut job. But now it's like totally mainstream and normal to talk about it, which just makes me want to say the complete opposite. I like being a little oppositional. But right now, you're a conspiracy theorist if you don't believe in now that official alien narrative from the government. And here's the thing, like, I believe these things. You know, I believe that it's spiritual, that they're not visitors from, like, you know, Zeta Reticuli or whatever. I believe that you know, it's something dark and sinister and spiritual, and it has to do with the with the fallen angels and the Nephilim and all that. That's my perspective that I take on it. And so, you know, I'm looking at it from a different way, but I do believe that this is real, that it's present, that it is a threat going on, just not in a, you know, in an Independence Day type of way. What are your thoughts on the unbinding doc coming out of the Hellier crew based on the event in the Catskills? Oh, interesting. You know what? I haven't kept up with the Hellier crew since they did, like, the first season with the goblins in Kentucky. I had watched part of that, and I had ended up unfollowing at one point because, I don't know, they just said some things that just rubbed me the wrong way. So I haven't kept up with what they're doing, but I am very intrigued that you said Catskills, because I love the Catskills, and New York is a hot spot. I mean, New York is a giant state. You know, it's not just New York City. Like I am in the New York City area, and if I wanted to drive to the Canadian border near Buffalo, that's like a 7.5 hour drive. If I wanted to drive to like the Montreal area border, Quebec, um, that is like maybe 5.5 hours, 6 hours. So it's a massive state. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on, but especially as you get into like kind of the Catskill region, you have some major ley lines running through it, and you actually have a big intersection happening in Kingston. So a lot of insane stuff happening. And in like Pine Bush, the gravity is actually different. I forget if it's more gravity or less gravity, but you're going to weigh something different in Pine Bush. There's massive crystal deposits under there. So it's there's a Stewart Air Base, the military Air Force base over up there, which is also partially a civilian airport. Interesting thing is that area used to experience the phenomena before the air base was even built. So it's like, did they build it there because of that? But so just completely intriguing area up there. So the fact the Hellier crew is looking into something in the Catskills, I am very curious. So I'm gonna have to look that up. So thank you for bringing that up. Because like I said, I unfollowed. I have no idea what's happening in the Hellier world. I was actually thinking one of the news would be too crazy to believe today. I feel like, I don't know, people a little, how do I put this? People just completely unhinged like in not a good way. Not unhinged in a fun way like we are, right? No, people's minds have completely unhinged now. Yet it's true. Like they will put anything in the news. People will believe anything. So, there's a big whale flying in the sky, right? It's too crazy to believe, but most people be like, oh my gosh, CNN said that. Fox News said it. Must be legit. Okay, so you're upstate. All right. I love it. Upstate. Favorite. Really, I love being up there. Catskills. Yeah, a play and word. Catskills. Yeah, what are the Catskills? I guess knocking glasses off the counters, right? Hey, Bobby Hexelrod. Always nice seeing you, Bobby. It's just getting too hard to differentiate satire and reality anymore. Honestly, you know, like where Twitter feeds you like the suggested tweets instead of like who you're following. I see tweets and I have to like go and actually click the profiles to figure out if this is like a satire profile or whether it's legit, because some of this stuff, it's like these people can't be for real. You know what they're saying, what they're believing, and but no, like you click it and it's completely real, and I just can't get over like how people are behaving, what people are saying, what people are thinking. Like honestly, people people have always been nutty throughout human history, but like I feel like we've just hit this point where things have just increased exponentially. I mean, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on the stream, but like, and just non-functional. Like my sister says, I go into the grocery store and people are just like standing there staring at the ceiling, blocking the aisles, like completely nonsensical, ridiculous things. Like, like people just lost the ability to function and forget like while you're driving. Like people can't drive. And I know people like to make fun of New York drivers, but no, like people really do drive well. There's a certain way of driving around here. It's nice. I feel safe. I don't feel safe when I'm driving in other areas when I get far outside the state. But like as time's gone on, people are losing their skills too. So like people are just like losing their ability to function. They're losing basic driving skills. And I feel like it's related. It's intentional. There's an intentional kind of resetting of our brains through different means, through lockdowns, through this, through that. I think I've talked about it in the past. I had a friend who brought up who had this thought, because we were saying that because we were both night owls, like where we could stay out till 3 or 4 in the morning and still be energized and have fun. And we were finding that after lockdown, we kind of lost that ability. And people like to say, oh, you know, they blame it on age. Okay, but she is 24 years my senior. So, you know, and she was like me when she was my age, a night owl, and she was still able to be a night owl. So usually if that's built into your genetics, you will stay that way. So I should, it's not like, oh, you're a few years older and you get more tired. No, that was just always the way I functioned. But all of a sudden, after lockdown, it's like I started getting tired really early. And my friend brought up this theory. She's like, I believe part of lockdown was a way to kind of reset us, to reset our systems, to put us in earlier because they would shut down everything earlier. So now we got used to being home earlier and kind of winding down. So, and it's interesting. It's almost like a behavioral reset, like a retraining, like training us like dogs. And it's interesting because when you start to look at it, you're like, okay, well, that kind of would accomplish different things from the WEF's Great Reset. All right. Have you in earlier? Have you sleeping earlier? Have you using less power because you're asleep? Like you see how as humans, we can so easily, you look at a dog and you can train a dog, but and we think, well, we're human, we're above that. But look how easily you can modify behavior with just different things like that. It's really fascinating. And I think we've had so much behavioral modification. Like, look at how much people have changed and look at the things that you think might have caused that. Like, there usually is some sort of modification that happened. But hey, from South Australia. Oh, you're in the midst of your winter and you are south. So is it pretty cold where you're at? I've been seeing people dress pretty warm in Australia right now, especially the further south you get. And it always looks so pretty. Always. Every picture I see out of Australia. There were quite a few of you Australians on here. If you haven't checked it out, if you go back in my lives, go check out Pete Dybel. He is from Nonaglen. I forget what state that. I think it's the same state Sydney's in. Is that Queensland? But yeah, so he is all around music man from there. So if you want to check out one of your fellow citizens, he was on here a few weeks ago. If you click my live tab, you should be able to find him. Stranger Things nailed it. We're in the upside down. I know, right? Sometimes you wonder. Crazy. Age is not a diagnosis. Thank you. Yeah, like it doesn't people like, oh no, your habits are changing because you're a few years older. Absolutely not. It was a behavior modification. They got us winding down early, and that's what your body got used to. So thank you. Oh, it's a bit nippy down there. Well, I guess are you almost at spring? No, we still got a while to go. See, I'm in denial that the fall will be anytime soon over here. I'm a summer girl. Sorry, distracted by that moth. Oh, okay. So Sydney is New South Wales. Okay, so his town is in New South Wales. I always get it mixed up. So Brisbane is in Queensland and Sydney's in New South Wales. Thank you. I used to know all the Australian states, and now I got to rememorize them. Yeah. Don't worry, I won't recite them. I won't subject you guys to that. So what else is new, guys? Any other thoughts on anything insane happening? So that's a fun thing about the topic of this show. There's always something insane happening in the world, in our country, in the world. Gosh. Like, no, I'm not even gonna broach the topic that I was gonna, the chef that died. Right, the White House chef. Apparently there's like a trend. Clinton's White House chef died too. So like some sort of weird stuff happening with that. Suspicious. Sus. Most people don't know the capital of Australia. Oh shoot. Yeah, so it's in the state. Isn't the state called Capital Territory? So it's in the south. And I'm trying to remember. Oh shoot. I used to know that. It's not Adelaide. No. How do I not remember the capital of Australia? Yeah, so Capital Territory, right, is the state. What is the... I used to know it. I don't remember now. Somebody's going to have to tell me. I mean, I could look it up, but I don't want to open a new tab right now. Is it Adelaide? No. I can't remember. I don't. But now you're making me want to go back and relearn my Australian geography. Not that I've been there. I just learned it out of curiosity. Just like how I also did that with all the Canadian states at one point. I know people like to say that Americans don't know geography, but, you know, we do. We do. Some of us do. It's always the other people that are giving us a bad rap. But I did learn some very interesting things about Australia from Pete. Like the fact that, like, it's not all the cities and everything aren't connected like by interstates like we have here in the United States. I thought that was interesting. So it makes travel within Australia not so easy. You wonder, is that by design? Oh, it's Canberra. Did I say it right? Yeah. No, you see, I knew it wasn't Sydney because I know it's in the south, the capital. But no, I guess, is Sydney the biggest city? Is that why people always say Sydney? Mullumbimby? What is Mullumbimby? Is that another town? There's a lot of wild names over there, isn't there? Okay, but Canberra was the answer. All righty. So, I don't know if I have anything else to talk about tonight. Like I said, it's just kind of like a free chat. But it's nice seeing you here tonight. And it's nice seeing the new names in the chat too. So, welcome to those of you who are in here live for the first time. And also, thank you to everybody watching the replay. Really appreciate every single person who comes here and who is here. And if you're not following me on social media, let's connect on there too. I have my link tree down in the description. So I don't know. I'm like, I guess I should just end it here because I'm kind of just drawing a blank. I just kind of wanted to come in, touch base with everyone. Oh, capital hippie town. What is Mullumbimby? So yes, I just wanted to kind of touch base with everyone. Oh, here. I'm gonna say another thought. I never believed in weather modification, or I just never cared much about it or paid much attention. I knew HARP was a thing. I mean, you know, I never paid too much attention to chemtrails. But we're having a weird summer sky-wise here in New York. At least down here in southern New York. And McSlammin, you said you're upstate. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing upstate, but okay, it's like I am such an outdoor person. I love baking in the sun. All right. And I have not had the opportunity to do it. And I usually will find any reason to crawl into the sun like a little lizard. And I have not found that opportunity because when it is sunny and nice and, you know, you have a high UV index, it's been way too hot to even step foot in the sun, like intolerable. Because usually I have a high tolerance for heat and I can't tolerate it. And then the days where it's kind of okay, we've had this odd haze. And yes, sometimes a haze happens in summer. It's not cloudy. It's just been a constant haze. So it's either way too intense to be in the sun, or it's just this overcast haze, and not like a normal summer overcast. And I know what a normal humidity haze looks like. It's just something in the middle. And people are saying it's the wildfires. But like, you know, you go and you check the air quality alerts and there's nothing about wildfires. The air quality numbers aren't higher than usual. But whatever it is, like today, you know, there was no air quality alerts. I couldn't find any articles about smoke. It did not smell like smoke because we definitely did smell it when it was you know, when we did have those smoke issues. But when I was looking at the sky, whatever's in the air, whatever haze it is, it's sitting low. It's sitting low enough where I can see it over the trees on like the hills in Westchester, because Westchester, my county, is like in a valley. It's in the Hudson Valley, like the southernmost part of the Hudson Valley. So you can, you know, you do have a lot of topography and you can see this haze sitting over the trees, and it's weird. It's very, it's different than anything I've seen. And again, I take note because I don't get to bake in the sun, and I'm annoyed about it, and I'm observing why, and it's odd, and it really makes me question the whole weather modification thing. And also, it's been pointed out to me that it's constantly raining here on the weekends, which is interesting because most people are off on the weekends. Is it a way to intentionally keep people inside? Then you start backtracking. Okay, you're like, okay, backtrack. Why would people need to stay inside? Why would they want people inside? Well, if you're inside, you're getting less vitamin D. If you're getting less vitamin D, then you're destroying your immune system. If you're destroying your immune system, it makes you more susceptible to things. If people are getting sick, do you have potentials for other pandemic? Is it population reduction? It's very odd. It just kind of, there's a whole web of ways you can go with this, but something's off is what I'm thinking. They lie about everything except the things you're not ready to hear. Oh, yeah, totally. You can't trust anything that come out of the powers that be, right? That's the best thing, right? Just to call them the powers that be, them, the great they. So I want to make sure I'm wrapping my head around this. I'm a little tired and slow tonight. They lie about everything except the things you're not ready to hear. So the things you're not ready to hear, they don't lie about. So is that because you're not ready to hear it, you're just going to discount it? It's interesting, and it makes sense. You're cool. I like that you know about things we're not supposed to really know. Oh, thank you. And I like that you guys you've still stuck it out and you haven't abandoned and jump ship and be like, she's insane and incoherent. No, I appreciate you being here. And I love that we're on the same page. See, look, your name has hex in it. That's one of the awesome things about the hex community is we all share a lot of similar interest. So we can come and talk about these things together. And yeah, we have different perspectives within that, but it's nice to be able to kind of just, I don't know, share them and discuss them and have a place to talk about it. Yeah, weather modification is real. And it's like, it's not that I didn't believe it. I just didn't think much about it or care much about it. Like, you know what I mean? It's not that I outright completely discounted it and said it's a lie. I guess I just was like, whatever. Until lately, then you start really questioning things. Speaking of the Hudson Valley, do you know anyone who, witnessed the mass UFO sightings there in the 80s? Oh yeah, we know people because it was such a huge thing that you always hear a story about this person saw it on the Taconic, this person pulled over here. Oh, on the Taconic, tons of people were pulled over. Oh, we walked out on our porch and we saw this giant thing hovering above the Bronx River Parkway. So it's just like one of those things that have just become so commonplace and so normalized in the Hudson Valley. You just grow up hearing those stories. And then if you bring up the Hudson Valley sightings, you'll hear, oh yeah, definitely. We saw that. So that's one of the cool things is that it was so normalized. And I know I've spoken about this on the stream, but I just want to bring it up again because it was so striking to me, this quote. It was something I heard Linda Zimmerman say. So the Pine Bush Alien Affair, one of our big hotspots in the Hudson Valley, Pine Bush, they call it the Roswell of the East. So Linda Zimmerman, the big Hudson Valley UFO researcher, she said about the UFO phenomenon in the Hudson Valley in the 80s. She said, the Phoenix Lights phenomenon, that made national news. That was such a huge deal. And that was one night. And that type of craft over Phoenix, that was the same category that was appearing in the same category of craft that was appearing in Hudson Valley. Except in the Hudson Valley, it was every single night, and it did not make the news like the Phoenix Lights did. So isn't that wild? It was like that over and over and over again, and so many people witnessed it, and it just became a normalized part of our area here. So there are at least 9 orders of angels occupying several areas of geographic areas, and some of them control the weather, principalities and powers. So is that also, when people talk about territorial spirits, is it Is that what they're referring to? The orders of angels occupying several geographic areas? It's so fascinating because this is something I've slowly been learning about more and more. And I guess Michael Heiser calls it the unseen world or the unseen realm, and it really just is so incredible that people, it's like modern Christianity has kind of become so watered down where the supernatural just gets discounted. Like, okay, yes, that's in its own realm, in the heavenly realm, and then we're here, but like, no, this is around us constantly. And it's not just like, okay, just angels and demons. And like, when Christianity does acknowledge it, it's like I feel like they want to just break it down to the basics, right? And it's just these two forces fighting against each other, but there's so much more to it. John is a pastor, for anyone who doesn't know. So Pastor John is telling us that, like it that it goes beyond those basics. Can you imagine 9 orders of angels that are occupying geographic areas? So these are like angels assigned to certain areas. It's incredible, and it's just always so amazing to hear. And they have different jobs and things too, like controlling the weather. So yeah, so I get excited about this. And like I said, I'm just like kind of learning more and more about these things that aren't taught in churches. So to get to hear things like this in the chat is just such an exciting thing to me. And also been learning about it little by little through an excellent podcast called Blurry Creatures, which is from a Christian perspective, is looking at different phenomenon in the world through the Christian lens and worldview. And it's, you know, people don't always want to see things through that worldview, but for me, I'm like, wow, that's where it makes sense. Like all this stuff kind of as it is doesn't make much sense, but when you filter it through that lens, you're like, everything falls into place now. Fires are clever these days. They reduce a whole street of stone buildings to dust, but trees on the sidewalk are okay. Yeah, right? What are those fires called? DEWs? It's crazy, right? Oh, we're not jumping ship. Thank you, Russ. Yeah, I find those who find their way to Hex tend to be more open to entertaining uncommon ideas. Yeah, because I think the thing is, when it comes to traditional finance, it's actually like a great metaphor, right? People who don't want to acknowledge anything else, they don't want to acknowledge that there's more to the world that we live in, that there's an invisible realm or anything, right? Those are like the people who just put all their eggs in the traditional finance basket. Like, right, we're going to trust the fiat currency and the banks and the politicians to do right. And when you start thinking outside of the box, that's like the whole moving into crypto thing, like, okay, well, we want to have our own currency that's outside of government control. We want freedom. And we don't want it controlled by these corrupt entities with these corrupt corporations and governments. We're going to think outside the box. So I think, yeah, you kind of have to be of a certain mindset. So it kind of goes hand in hand, right? So yes, actual geographic areas of the earth relating to the spiritual realm, influencing culture and religions, which influence politics, which is downstream from culture. And it's interesting because I had heard somebody kind of mention that when you go into, in terms of geographic areas and what's happening in the spiritual realm in geographic areas, and I guess those territorial spirits, they say like there are certain areas or places or cities that you walk into or you're playing lands and you feel a different shift. You feel a spiritual shift. And they say that is real. That shift, you're not just imagining it because you're thinking about what goes on in that city. You are feeling it because of that influence, because there is a spiritual influence, that there are territories. There is a territorial thing happening. And somebody gave the example of New Orleans. This guy said that whenever his plane lands in New Orleans, he feels that difference. And it has to do with whatever territorial spirit has control over that area. And I guess that must be something darker, right? So John, so my question is, so we have different angels controlling different geographic regions, but do we have the opposite too? Do we have demonic forces that also have control over certain regions, and is that why you feel the shift when you go into certain areas? Because I've known people who have spoken about feeling that in other places. Some people say that about the coast, cities on the coast. I've heard, interestingly, I don't want to get too much into it, but even I hear people specifically say that about the Appalachian region, because there is such an occultic history there that they feel it when they're there. I guess hence the whole Hellier thing. Season 1 documentary. So the concepts of good and evil is kind of self-centered because it typically is only judged from one's own perspective. Not necessarily, but I know that's, I get what you're saying. You know, in terms of ethics, it's like all those different facets of ethics and whether, you know, where it's coming from. But for me, it's not being judged from my perspective. For me, it's being judged from an outside source. It's a biblical perspective, and I subscribe to that. I'm not saying the biblical perspective is my own. No, the Bible is, it's God's perspective, and that's what I subscribe to, and that's what I'm judging by. So I remember when I was studying ethics in grad school, it's like basically, it kind of is like when it really comes down to ethics. I don't know how to get this idea from my brain to my mouth. See, this is the thing sometimes, and this is why I feel like I stumble over my words. I feel like sometimes my brain and my mouth are moving at two different speeds, or I have a disconnect where I can't quite articulate what I'm thinking. So I can't quite articulate this right now. But I guess my thing is that that's why I call it, you know, the lens of the Bible, the lens of Christianity, when you're exploring these things through that lens, because it's not your perspective. I didn't invent Christianity, so I'm not coming out of my perspective. I've adopted Christianity. It was something I was born into, and it's something that I've continued on, you know, throughout my adult life. So that's the lens that I view things through. Does that make sense? You know, I'm not viewing good and evil as being a self-centered thing, self-centered perspective, because I didn't invent that perspective. I'm viewing it through the lens of Christianity. I like to think of it more as it should be valued as selfish versus selfless. But then wouldn't those just be tenets of good versus evil? Right? During our last bushfires, Max Egan did a study revealing how the much needed rain clouds were going around the so-called weather stations. So like somebody was seeding and moving the clouds instead of them going toward where they needed to go. Somebody was directing them elsewhere so that you weren't getting bushfire relief. Is that what you're saying? I want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. Can't wait for the replay walking out of the movie. Well, thank you for checking in, Drix. And it was so nice seeing you at the Pulse conference earlier. And I hope the movie was great. I'm looking forward to seeing it too. Movie we're talking about, for anyone who's not familiar with the Hex community, is the documentary on Richard Hart and his products, Pulse Chain, Hex, and Pulse X. So there was a whole documentary that came out on it. A lot of you guys know, but for those of you who haven't, I've heard excellent things about it. I haven't seen it yet, but I cannot wait to see it. And funny thing, I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about the fact that, you know, there was a riot, not caused by the documentary, but there was a riot outside of the Union Square premiere yesterday, right? The riot was all about PS5s. No joke. So demons, being disembodied Nephilim spirits, also have territorial activity, heavily based on the level of sin of the lives of the people in the area. Okay, so then that's why okay, thank you for explaining that. So there you go. So that's why those areas that have that heavy occult influence, so New Orleans, right, having that, it's not Santeria, it's just straight up voodoo, right? Having that voodoo, all that sin that comes out of that type of practice, I guess, attracts heavily Sorry, this is getting creeped out. I'm like, shoot, can you imagine? I mean, okay, I know that there is good to being in these places. People say that about New York too, and there's always good to be found, but it's pretty heavy. It's pretty intense when you think about that you know what, that there is demonic territorial activity that is just completely attached to a region. And people who are sensitive do sense it. I know people who have said that about very specific regions and told me that they feel this heaviness, that they feel a darkness from it. I have people try to tell me about that about here, but you see, I don't feel that. I guess maybe because I'm from here, I see the beauties. Maybe somebody who's from New Orleans feels the same way, but I guess that's a debate in and of itself. The whole New York thing is New York evil or whatever. But because I have some people that I know who are like, I don't want to step foot there. And I'm like, who's in Austin? Did I miss something? I am not in. Oh, no. I was in the no. I would have let you know if I was in your state, even though I know that's a ways away. But no, I am not in Austin. I went into the live stream for the Pulse conference. I forgot that was a hybrid conference. So the perspective would be a biblical perspective, like fights between people both fighting for good is only from the perspective of their belief. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting distracted with all this stuff. Okay, no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, but I guess, but you see what I'm saying too, right? Okay, because yeah, it's what you're choosing to subscribe to. Okay, I see what you're saying, you know, and does that become, but yeah. I was gonna say something, you know, it's gonna sound arrogant, but you know, if you believe that's the truth and I believe that is the absolute truth, then I'm like, well, it's not selfish because selfish because it's not prime perspective. It is the absolute truth. But that's what I believe. You might not believe that, but I am going to continue to believe that, and I won't debate it. But you get what I'm saying. By the way, guys, this is water. See, aqua. I know people have been like, are you drinking out of a glass liquor bottle? I'm like, absolutely not. But I sometimes wonder when I drink out of this and I'm driving, I'm like, I hope I don't get pulled over. Because of how that looks. Oh yeah, no, for sure. Angels and demons are distinct from each other. No, I'm sorry if I worded that wrong. No, I do believe yeah, no, I do understand and know that they are distinct from each other. I guess I was just trying to understand the differences between the territorial control that they hold in what circumstances. So I was sorry. I was dissecting that with my brain, and if I made it sound confused and insane, I apologize. I'm just trying to, like I said, trying to figure that out, you know. And I guess, like you said, it comes down to the concept of sin of a specific region, you know, and then they're gonna have that demonic influence in that territory. But something I'm curious about and something I'm more interested in learning about. Yeah, just saying selfish versus selfless is more universal and objective when compared to good versus evil, but I get your perspective. That's what you subscribe to too. Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess just different ways, yeah, of saying it and looking at it. So, well, this conversation's getting fun and interesting. So, thank you all for bearing with me as I try to dissect things in my brain. Everyone has presuppositions, a worldview that they bring to the table for all things. The biblical worldview is a reforming in the autonomous view of fallen man to the theonomic view of God. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, I love how you just put a neat bow on everything. So thank you, John. Yeah, because like I was saying, I sometimes like, I don't know, I can't always translate. I'm not so eloquent in the translation from brain to mouth. So I always appreciate when you jump in and you help with the putting the bow on that. So thank you so much. And it just sounds so poetic, right? The biblical worldview, reforming from the autonomous view of fallen man to the theonomic view of God. I love that. The better kind of evolution. Right? The evolution of the spiritual evolution. Okay. All right. Thank you. Because I get nervous. I'm like, oh no, what am I saying? What am I warping in my brain? That's a tough thing. Like I said, I used to be a night owl. So my brain used to function a lot better at night. But now it's a lot harder because it's like this is the only time I can stream. Then I feel like my brain isn't working. But it's just a community thing. I enjoy just hanging out with you guys and just chatting and like I don't know, working through all this and having that discussion. So, and you know what? I think I'm gonna probably end it here. So because we're an hour in, it's now 12:06 and I have to be up early. But it's 12:06 in New York City time. But I think it's awesome that we have people from everywhere. It's probably early afternoon for you guys in Australia, and we got West Coast too, who it's starting to get late for. So yeah, so thank you guys for being here at this later time. I appreciate that you guys still all came to hang out. For anyone that's new, if you want to like and subscribe, I would very much appreciate that. Thank you to everyone again who's watching in the replay. Thank you to everyone who showed up live. And it's always wonderful seeing you guys. And for anyone that wants to support, I got the info down in the description. So thank you guys so much. You all have a wonderful night. And I'm gonna head to bed. But I always don't want to miss anything in the chat. I just saw some new stuff come in. Oh man, what a bow. I love that feeling of when the right words finally articulate to the tip of the tongue. Yeah, no, exactly. That's why I was like so helpful. I'm like, man, thank you. Yeah, John, you are a very articulate man. You are so great at expressing those things. So I always appreciate you coming and bringing your perspective into here. And I think it's so awesome that you are a pastor because, you're teaching, you're leading, you're herding the flock, and to be able to be eloquent and help people put these thoughts together is such a valuable skill to have. So besides preaching the gospel, just the teaching that's happening there. So we appreciate you and thank you for showing up. And you know what, we got to do another show together sometime if you are up for it. My mom actually had some suggestions of a topic she'd like to talk to you or she'd like you to talk about. She had suggested to me. So we will we'll discuss if you're up for it. So everyone, John, you too. It sounds like I'm saying everybody but you. I hope everybody has a wonderful night and a wonderful day, a wonderful Sunday tomorrow, and a great week. I will see you guys soon, and sleep tight. Don't let the aliens bite. And thank you, Hex Amigo, and thank you again, John. So you guys have a wonderful night. I'll see you all soon. Bye.